Hello, I'd like to introduce you to, if the game will, granted this is Korean. This game translates roughly out to God of War. I think it's Korean based on what I looked at it. This replay is also extremely buggy, so you'll forgive me with how buggy these replays are in general. Brand new account, as always, you know, only plays realistic and is extremely good at the vehicles he plays. He's a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, blah 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 in every single account he plays. He's also in said squadron right here, and this, you know, you have a cheater in your squadron if you are aware of this squadron. So I wanted to bring this video up. I have a couple people asking me on what to look for when it comes to cheaters. This is a perfect example of a player who plays subtly enough. I mean, granted, I say subtly enough, but as soon as he did that, I knew he was cheating. So I have a lot of people who are like, well, there's no way. Like, he could have just been looking that direction. He could have been doing this and that, whatever. The general idea is that you don't just shoot in a direction at a random object. Unless you see said object. Even on ULQ, that leopard is invisible. That tree is still solid as there. The thing that people are forgetting is that there is a very valid way to check for a cheater without just saying, hey, their stats are ridiculous, I think this person's cheating, blah, blah, blah. So remember that if you're going to go look at a cheater, you're going to look for a lot of variable things. Now, I know there's a lot of newer players in this game that might not know what to look for and stuff like that. So here's the general idea of what to look for. So this is a perfect example. So there's multiple layers of bushes. We can see the map right here. So this is the way, so there's all these green markers are dense forest. So this leopard is right here in the forest, right here on the edge of this hill, looking over B area. There's another level of forest. All these trees and bushes are in between our cheater and the player here. This is a perfect example of this person is very likely to most likely to guarantee cheating because of stuff like this. He literally cannot see the leopard at all. There is no frame of reference. There's no ULQ reference you can make there. And you can see he smokes, and you can see him tracing him all the way back and shoots him center mass all the way back. That is a 100% perfect example of this person is cheating, and they deserve to have their account banned. Now, another way to look at it is if you ever play this game long enough, or a couple hundred battles to 1,000 battles, or even more, like I have, you know, 10,000 at this point. The general idea is that when you play on a map, you know people have fast vehicles, you know people have slow vehicles, you know people have medium vehicles, but you know that there is a range of speed that people tend to get into certain locations at certain times. So in this regard, European province, for example. So in this case, if you're a smart enough player, you would know, hey, I have teammates to my south. There are most likely not going to be players in the woods to my south because they would be engaging them. But in any case, if you were that far south, you would be checking the horizon, you'd be checking the wood line, you'd be making sure people are, you know, around you. You have some sort of map situational awareness. It's the reason why people make fun of German mains, because German mains are blind and they have no situational awareness. But a lot of newer players don't have that. They don't have a situational awareness. They aren't just looking straight at people through bushes and trees like this and saying, oh, I could see through the bushes, or it's ULQ, or whatever. The general idea is if you know that that person is looking at you through a line of trees or a line of bushes or whatever, and there's no way they could do that, then it's a problem. The other problem that we're getting now is that Gaijin turned off the kill cam replay, which, granted, they only turned off the travel path. They didn't turn off, like, hey, I can still see where he shot me from, which I think is actually what we asked for. We asked for turning off the kill cam, but the thing is, I still saw where he came from, and that's completely fine for me to understand where he came from. And if you're like me or any other player who's played every map in this game, and they show you where the player shot you from, you go, hey, I know where that is. I'm still going to go revenge kill him. And I think that's incredibly funny because I know Gaijin is never going to turn it off completely. They're just going to make it to where it's sort of bare minimum and go from there. So here's another great example. You see him staring at this guy through everything and shooting at it. Now, okay, you can say, oh, that's a random shot. He probably was just shooting in that direction, blah, blah, blah. He's still staring directly at him. He's not scanning his environment. He's not looking around. He sees the bagel planes over there. He turns his camera over here, and he's looking around in areas that make no sense. Now, he might have heard the bagel, but hearing in this game doesn't give you exact direction like this. It doesn't give you, so he is in full smoke staring directly at that friend right there. The bagel dies, so he doesn't have to worry about him. But you can see center mass, and that person is behind, I believe, a hill, so he can only see like the top of his tank, but he shot center mass, which is another dead giveaway that this player is a cheater. Now, I will mention to anyone that does send me replays, there's a couple people that keep getting sent me replays. So there's two players, I think Firemoon is one, and there's another one, I can't remember his name, but they have like 13,000 kills to 30,000 kills in single vehicles. People that play a lot of a certain vehicle generally do not tend to be cheating. And I know that's kind of a weird offset, because I know that, like, a lot of, for instance, cheaters will have like 3 vehicles that they play with, and that's their general way that they play said vehicles. So be aware, I love that he gets killed there. Be aware that if you look at a player and he has a ton of stats, try to look at the replay constructively. Be aware that, like myself, I play tons of vehicles the same way all the time, and that's what I play. Like the Falcon. Falcon I have a couple thousand kills in, and I like playing the Falcon the way it is. The general idea is that cheaters tend to not focus on a single vehicle. They tend to kind of diversify their play content or whatever. It's the reason why a lot of the accounts you've seen me review tend to have really broad accounts, or if they're playing like this player is, they have because they have a diversified record because they've bought a premium and then they're playing all the way up through a tech tree. Cheaters tend to play an entire tech tree because that's what they do. They almost never play single vehicles. If they do, they play a single vehicle up to a certain rank, and then they start filling out the tree with everything else they like to play with. So that's the general idea. I wanted to bring up this because people keep questioning, like, oh, is there, should I be playing a certain way? Should I be looking for something specifically? The general idea with looking for cheaters that I do for any investigation I do is, are they looking at their sightlines? Are they looking at people through objects? Is their tracking incredibly suspicious? Are they doing things that a normal player wouldn't do? And that's pretty vague, but a normal player would check their horizons, they'd be using their binoculars, they'd be, ranging their targets, even though people on my comments all the time are like, oh, I never use my rangefinder. You use your rangefinder, especially at higher BRs where stuff can change differences, go from a couple hundred kilometers to 2,000 meters. So it's, the general idea is you're looking at a sightline, so you're looking at sightlines that make sense for a person to look at sightlines for. So bear in mind that when you look at a replay or look at a player in question, don't just send me a name that you suspect is a cheater because they might be a cheater. Now, granted, they might be, but that's why I ask you to give me a replay, because that means you looked for yourself at said replay. And that's what I want people to do. I want people to be constructive when it comes to looking at replays in general and realizing that stuff like this makes absolutely no sense for someone to be able to do, especially with the APDS rounds. So, as always, if you have a player in question you want to leave to me, leave it in the name, ID, and replay format I asked for, and then try to give a description of what you saw in said replay. Timestamps are helpful, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. As always, I hope you have a good rest of your morning, day, evening, or night, and have a good one.